Compared to other islands around the world, Taiwan is extremely unique. Very few islands possess such impressive and concentrated mountain ranges. Among these mountain ranges, over 200 peaks are more than 3,000 meters high. High-altitude mountain peaks are highly specialized areas. Every single peak that rises above the clouds is very much like an isolated island in the ocean. The stretching mountain ranges not only greatly affect the climate, life forms that inhabit these areas are effectively isolated and altered. Every single leaf, flower, or large-sized mammal here harbors the secret of evolution in every minute trait. The snow season arrives as the rowan leaves turn red. The Formosan laughing thrush is perfectly aware of this marked change of season. When the last batch of fruit has been harvested, it is time to bid farewell. In December, a snowstorm descends swiftly and silently. The temperature plunges. Everything, including the fir forests and juniper shrubs, is shrouded in a gray, cold blanket of snow overnight. At 3,952 meters, Yushan stands tall as the ridge of Taiwan. Annual snow season lasts 3 to 4 months. The snow-covered peaks represent the unique charm of this subtropical island. Ice and snow are the most valuable gifts that nature bestows on the high mountains. Not only are they significant elements in the change of seasons, they are also challenges that pressure species into adapting and evolving. At a glance, the plants under the blanket of ice and snow seem frozen. But in reality, all kinds of life forms have evolved and adapted to survive in this extreme coldness. The Yushan rhododendron is an evergreen shrub. Waxy and covered in velvety hair, the leaves are able to withstand extreme weather fluctuations. The layer of snow offers protection to the leaves and buds. The winters here are dry and cold. Extended periods of exposure to the strong sunlight and relentless winds could remove moisture from the plants and cause damage. It is no wonder that many species of plants choose to shed their leaves and become dormant. The high mountains during winter may seem cold and deserted, yet the climate and the surroundings are still full of changes. When strong cold fronts arrive from the north, temperatures plunge rapidly to sub-zero degrees. The enveloping fog now turns into frost and settles, piling up on the rocks, branches, and leaves. The world becomes crystalline. Everything, even time, seem arrested in the air. Yet, in this deceptively simple white land, life stirs in secret. Birds can tolerate low temperatures better than we give them credit for. The perky Taiwan laughing thrush, foraging in the cold wilderness, is proof of this. The weasel forages guardedly amidst Yushan canes. Weasels are highly ferocious carnivores. Few in number, they prey mainly on rodents. On a sunny day, a weasel seeks warmth on a pile of rocks to take a break from the severe coldness. The white-faced flying squirrel, which has been resting in a tree hole, ventures out. Unperturbed by the snow, it spends its day exploring among the trees. The alpine accentor is the most highly distributed bird species in Taiwan. It has adapted well to the environment. Its plumage colors mirror those of the rocks. The birds are seemingly unaffected by the cold. They are often seen foraging leisurely among the snow-covered land. Sometimes, successive cold fronts bring about interminable snow. The thick layer of snow and sub-zero temperatures drive many animals to seek temporary refuge in lower altitudes. After March, with the approaching spring, the temperature gradually rises. The snow and ice begin to melt in earnest. The mountain willow puts forth its resplendent staminate flowers. It is the first plant to respond to the warming spring. But it is still cold, despite rising temperatures. To protect themselves from the fluctuating climate, plants wrap their new buds with thick bud scales. After a long winter, when the weather warms up, the tender blossoms and leaves then make their appearances. The melting of the snow is without a doubt a gift from nature. The plants, reawakened by the warmth, are instantly rejuvenated. The delicate cane shoots peek out of the moist earth and provide a satisfactory meal for the ravenous field mouse. The field mouse has sharp teeth that cut through the shoots quickly. Its appetite is appeased. After more than 3 months of silence, the forests are once again filled with songs of the birds. During April, most of the snow on the peaks has melted. Mists envelop the mountains, providing moisture. The mountains shimmer afresh with a new brightness. The force of life spreads to the peaks from the valleys far below. To the alpine birds, the signs are clear. It is time to pick strategic spots and burst into song. With the arrival of the rainy season, the rhododendron flower buds, which have been preparing for spring the entire winter, finally blossom as the weather becomes warmer. The mountain tops blaze with fervent colors all at once, as if on cue. The Yushan rhododendron is endemic to Taiwan. A charming plant, it features purplish red, pink, or white blossoms. The flower crown, shaped like a bell, cleverly avoids raindrops. The eye-catching spots within the flower indicate the way to its pollen and nectar. The inviting blossoms attract many insects. The birds are in for a convenient feast. Even the sambar deer drops its bashful image and munches through a hearty meal of blossoms. The blooming rhododendrons usher in the season of life on the mountaintops. The plants compete fiercely for attention with their brilliant blossoms, bringing a rich palette of colors to the season. Attracted by the lush greenery, the Formosan Serow returns to the high mountain peaks. The steep rocky walls and craggy slopes are familiar grounds to them. Shy and tame, the Formosan Serow is solitary bovid. Its favorite food includes newly sprouted grass and leaves. With its head bent all the time, the Serow remains focused on its task of eating. Occasionally, it stops to stretch, scratch, or lick its fur. Highly territorial, a Formosan Serow will smear branches with tears from its preorbital glands to mark the spot. Both male and female Serows bear permanent horns that are useful tools for defense and aggression. Armed with cloven hooves, the Formosan Serow is well adapted to the steep mountain slopes. After a meal, it will seek out a safe place to regurgitate. And as usual, the wary animal makes sure that the vantage point, usually on an inaccessible cliff, provides a clear view of its surroundings. Warmth and moisture bring about rapid growth of the plants, resulting in a welcomed lushness that appeals to the needs of reproducing animals. As spring gently unfolds into summer, the little calf has already learned to feed on the tender blades of grass. Its mother hovers around, imparting essential survival skills to its offspring. Around May, the sambar deer delivers its young. The newly born follows its mother as they forage for food together. Still delicate and feeble, the calf hides itself behind its parent and stays close in case of predators. Almost at the same period, the alpine birds begin their annual breeding season. The rainy season that occurs between May and June present challenges to the birds. Eggs are incubated and chicks are fed under torrents of rain. The birds have come up with their own strategies. different ways of nest construction are employed. The collared bush robin is endemic to Taiwan. It prefers to build its nest in rock cavities where it is warm and where it provides adequate shelter from the rain. Naturally skilled nest builders, the robins construct their nests with hay, leaves, and animal fur. The female bird scrutinizes every inch of detail during the process, making sure that the nest meets her standards. After more than half a month, the chicks hatch. The parents are now busy finding food for their many offspring. The chicks have a lot of growing to do. Their voracious appetites are coupled with large amounts of waste. The parents take the droppings away so that predators are not attracted to the nest. Sometimes a dead insect catches the unwelcomed attention of ants. The mother bird returns and meticulously rids the nest of the ants. A song leaps and runs agilely throughout the mountains. It is the yellow-bellied bush warbler taking center stage, performing like a coloratura soprano. The warbler is by nature alert and wary. It uses cane leaves to build its nest. Layers upon layers of leaves form a tight and warm nest, a nest that blends into the environment to avoid detection. A pair of yellow-throated martins loiters close to the nest, angling for a meal. The anxious father bird flies off to a nearby branch to distract the intruders. The warning calls are enough to deter the mother bird from feeding her chicks. Both parents fly further away from the nest, perching on cane branches, all the while making urgent calls. The ruse works. The unsuspecting martins fail to discover the nest hidden in the shrubs. The chicks, nearly ready to fledge, have had a narrow escape. Some birds' nests camouflage well, but their materials are easily ruined by heavy rains. The slight black-throated parrotbill loves to build its nest with fresh moss. The nest looks like a little green pomelo with an opening on the side for easy access. It no doubt fits the camouflage bill, but it is very fragile. If torrential rains persist, the fledglings sometimes die of hypothermia. Experienced parents know the safest places to build their nests. They choose locations that are out of the rain's way, and they make sturdier nests. These considerations are critical to the survival of the young birds. If everything works out, the chicks leave the nest in about 18 days. There are only 5 species in the kinglet family around the world, and the endemic Taiwan firecrest, with its distinguishing daisy yellow crown, is the most beautiful species. Active and swift, they are often found feeding amidst the coniferous forest canopy in groups. The Taiwan firecrest hangs its nest on the tip of a cane branch. The bowl-shaped nest is mostly made up of moss and cane leaves. Parenting chores are shared by both parents. Alpine birds choose to build their nests amidst cane vegetation as it provides necessary security. A nest hanging high at the tip of a branch is not only excellently concealed, it is also safe against predators. The Formosan laughing thrush is the most highly distributed babbler in Taiwan. Armed with a bright and eloquent voice, The laughing thrush's ancestors came from mainland China and gradually evolved over time to become endemic. It is distinguished by its white eyebrows and golden feathered wings. Full-bodied and brightly colored, the laughing thrush builds a bowl-like nest in the shrubs with hay and twigs. Parenting duties are shared, and the clutch size is usually 2. The chicks feed mainly on insects and fruit, and they fledge in about 3 weeks. Even after they have fledged, the offspring still depend on their parents for food. Soon, when their plumage is complete, they can feed on their own. It is time to say goodbye. The thick and lush Taiwan fir forests are also known as the Black Forests. The Taiwan fir used to be a member of the boreal forest. During the Ice Ages, its distribution reached Taiwan and slowly evolved over time to become endemic. Accustomed to extreme cold, the Taiwan fir forest is the highest distributed forest in Taiwan and often forms distinct tree lines near the mountain peaks. The survival of many animals depends on this vast area of forest. A group of Taiwan firecress forage for insects on the fir trees. They like to build their nests among the fir leaves too. The long-nosed squirrel scurries up and down the trees in search of food. The caterpillar of the moon moth feeds on the leaves of the Taiwan fir. It blends in perfectly with its surroundings. It looks like a fir leaf when it is not moving. Under the shelter of the dark night, the mature caterpillar finds a safe place in the tree and begins to spin its cocoon. 4 months later, the first generation cocoons emerge to become the largest and most stunning endemic moths in the high mountains. The second generation cocoons have to wait till next spring to emerge. While the fir forests are thick and deep, the cane grassland stretches far and wide. The Yushan cane spreads by its rhizomes. After a fire, it is always able to proliferate rapidly and form vast grasslands. The grassland may not look as if it is teeming with life, yet it is inhabited by many life forms. The Taiwan field mouse and Taiwan mole are the most common rodent found in the cane grasslands. Classic opportunists, they eat everything and anything. A meticulous cleanup session is always in order after a meal. The Formosan sambar deer enjoys feeding on Yushan cane as well. The tender leaves during summer always manage to lure the sambar deer out of their refuge in the forest. In June, the fiery blossoms of the red hairy rhododendron spread across the grasslands. The summer sun reveals the mountain peak in its full splendor. During early summer, it is still chilly morning and night. The Taiwan edelweiss blooms early, and to protect itself, it has developed velvety hairs on its petals. It looks as if it's covered with a thin layer of snow. Gentians are endowed with flowers of striking colors. The blossoms are very sensitive to light and temperature. When the day turns cloudy, the flower slowly closes to prevent rainwater from ruining its pollen. The blooming season takes place after July. All the plants put forth their best efforts to welcome the warm weather. The golden St. John's wort is resplendent in between the rocks. The Taiwan scabiosa puts forth delightful purple blooms. The Yushan raspberry dots the rocky walls with its charming white blossoms. And there is the Yushan dianthus, Yushan euphrasia, and Morrison stonecrop. These plants all bear the name of Yushan, as they were all discovered and named here. Alpine plants are survivors of an extremely capricious environment. To adapt to the strong winds, freezing climate, and extremely daily temperature fluctuations, most of the plants are petite in size with limited blossoms. Unable to produce large amounts of pollen, the flowers rely on their shapes, colors, and smells to attract insects. This is a season of strong and alluring aromas. The birds and insects are grateful recipients of the feast. Although the harsh and cold climate poses many challenges for reptiles and amphibians, some species still manage to survive here. The salamander is one of the few amphibians that do not mind the bitter cold. Originally from high-latitude regions in the north, the salamander arrived in Taiwan during the Ice Ages and is now a rare and relict species. The secretive salamander can be found in dark and wet river crevices or forest undergrowth. It is quite an elusive amphibian. During breeding season, the female salamander spawns near moist rocks. The transparent egg is protected in a capsule filled with a gelatinous mass. The somber-colored Taiwanese mountain pit viper sunbathes in the grass. The most highly distributed reptile species in Taiwan, the viper is active during summertime. The spotted patterns on its body provide a very effective camouflage. Patient and quiet while waiting, yet deadly swift and precise when it strikes, the viper overcomes its prey with paralytic venom. A high mountain summer is not only vibrant with colors, the weather too is full of changes. afternoon thundershowers are a common sight. Not only does the rainfall provide moisture for the earth, ponds form in low-lying grounds as well. The ponds, and sometimes lakes, are important water sources to mountain climbers. Life is evident in the waters too. On a summer night, the tile darner, which has been living in the water as a nymph for 2 years, now crawls out of the water under the protection of the night to transform itself. After stretching out its head, the dragonfly emerges and slowly pumps up its wings. More than 10 hours later, when the first ray of sunlight appears, the young dragonflies take off with their glittering wings to embark on their short journeys of reproduction. The tile darner is not only the highest distributed endemic species of dragonfly, it is also a rare glacial relict insect species. Ponds are hard to come by in the high mountains. These temporary water sources are inviting places where large mammals come to drink, to take a mud bath, or just simply to roll. The elegant Formosan sambar deer is Taiwan's largest herbivore. A mature male can weigh over 200 kilograms, while the female is slighter of build. Gregarious by nature, the deer can be seen foraging in small herds in less accessible valleys or cane grasslands near a water source. They feed mainly on grass, as well as the tender leaves and stems of plants. During non-mating season, the male deer prefers to be solitary. They can often be found pacing and feeding along the mountain ridge. They can look quite regal. Most herbivores are able to regurgitate. The Formosan sambar deer is no exception. Strongly territorial, the deer uses odors as markers. A mature deer spots 3-tined deciduous antlers, which are useful tools for securing territory and mate. The deer grows its antlers during spring and summer. As mating season approaches, territorial and aggressive behavior become more pronounced. At this stage, when the antlers are still fragile, the males refrain from real fighting. At the height of summer, the antlers are tough and ready to use. Fights over females become much more frequent and intense. In foggy weather, a pair of yellow-throated martens slowly approaches the deer. The deer pause. They are on guard. Sniffing something peculiar in the air, the herd flees. It is not their nature to take risks. The yellow-throated martin is a carnivore who likes to stay in pairs or small groups. It sometimes hunts in groups and can bring down a baby muntjac, sambar deer, or serow. The hunters call them muntjac tigers. The marten has a very keen sense of smell. A fast-moving animal, it is always leaping and running. The long tail provides balance. Armed with sharp claws, it climbs trees and digs. Its diet consists mainly of rodents and birds. As with other predatory animals, the marten is highly territorial. They mark their favorite rocks with droppings. When on guard, it stands up on its hind legs to look around. The yellow-throated marten, currently listed as an endangered species, is an extremely ferocious and mysterious animal. It is so rare that very few people have seen its beauty. With the arrival of fall, the insect's hard work during summer slowly comes to fruition. The northeasterly winds pick up again. Seeds hang high at the tip of branches, awaiting the winds. The other plants which rely on birds and other animals to disperse their seeds have not been idle. They put out beautiful, delicious, and tempting fruit to lure their dispersers. The Formosan rock monkeys are quick to jump on the feeding wagon. They gorge themselves with black juniper fruit and red Taiwan barberries, and whatever is ripe at the moment. After a sumptuous meal, the alpha male and his troop enjoy a moment of leisure on the rocks, sunbathing and grooming. The perky little monkeys cannot keep still for a second. They tug and play and hop all over their mothers. These tireless youngsters love to explore, are insatiably curious, important traits that will help them face their future challenges. The Formosan serow enters its mating season during fall. During this period, the billy follows the female everywhere, and he licks her genitals gently. Sometimes he kicks her abdomen lightly with his front limbs. These are acts of intimacy. The female serow moves forward, and the billy mates with her. Mated serows remain intimate partners. They feed and rest together. When the Chinese silvergrass slowly matures and the rowan leaves turn red once again, most of the plants have already spread their seeds. The temperature gradually drops and the leaves change color and wilt. After December, waves after waves of cold fronts descend. The mountain peaks are covered with ice and snow again. everything settles down to a silvery silence. The high mountain is a unique environment and poses tough trials for the life forms that inhabit it. Yet the challenges provide the necessary motives for species to adapt and evolve. Mountain ranges rise and fall within Yushan National Park. More than 30 peaks are over 3,000 meters high. These peaks that rise above the clouds are like islands in the ocean, where evolution of isolated species takes place in a more pronounced manner. Be it the rare and precious yellow-throated martin, or the enormous Formosan sambar deer, be it the beautiful Taiwan firecrest, the relict salamander, or the diel darner, all of these endemic species have earned their places in the environment, and together they weave an image of thriving life. The tallest mountain in Northeast Asia, Yushan, has withstood a long passage of time. Life's many totems have found their homes here, where diversified ecosystems are showcased. Yushan manifests the invaluable essence of a mountain island.